Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's episode of the ZodWriter Show. Tonight is going to be a very, very interesting episode because I'm going to weigh in on a topic that kind of triggered me and bothered me today. So I'm glad that all of you could be here for this. I will get to the chat in just one moment, but I do want to bring on my very special guest for tonight. I have a special guest co-host for tonight's episode, specifically given the subject matter of the show. And so, without further ado, I want to bring on my special guest. This is, you know her, you love her, ladies and gentlemen. This is Mad's Mama Bear, and she is going to join me tonight to help calm me down and to, of course, give her perspective. And rile me up a little bit too. Yeah, thank you so much, Mama Bear, for being here. I know you're a little bit under the weather, but I had to get a female perspective on all of this because I truly feel, I truly was like seeing red when I read this art. Literally, when I read this article,
I know. Anyway, hello, boys. Yeah. This wasn't it. Like of all of the excuses and stuff he could have made, he could have come right out and just said, this was not the movie I set out. Because honestly, if they, like, I remember there was talk of pressing for the Muschietti cut, and I would have been down for it because I can see where they were originally going if you'd taken out the notes. But yeah, you put out a product that wasn't it. Just stand by
it. Welcome everybody. Bishop, Socks, Qatar. We got Batdan's thoughts in the chat. Batdan says, "What up?" Bo DeMail may end up canceling me. I don't know what happened between you and Bo DeMail, but
congrats, Bo DeMail.
I'd like to hear what that's about, because again, I'm out of the loop when it comes to the Bo DeMail thing. I don't know. I only know that he wrote X-Men 97. That's all I know. And X-Men 97 is a masterpiece. So
he did weigh in on this. I think Leon shared it out, where it was. If you give me a minute, I'll be able to find it too. Where he was like, this take was wild or something like that. I'll find it.
Okay.
This baffles me. Stop blaming an attacking audience. The job of a storyteller is to make people care. There is a lot to love in The Flash. You just didn't make us care. That was his words.
That's actually a good point. I have to say that I agree with Bo DeMail on that, because here's the thing: all the emotional bits and stuff on the Flash was cute and stuff, but it was bogged down by the fact that there was studio meddling, and Andy Muschietti wasn't allowed to tell the story that he wanted to tell. The way that you just pointed out, the potential movement for the Muschietti cut of the Flash. I was mad at this movie because of the potential for this movie. I thought that this movie had potential to be a brilliant movie. I mean, it had a lot of great ingredients in it. It's hard to imagine Michael Keaton, bringing back Michael Keaton, and then just to kill off Michael Keaton's Batman, just to
I didn't expect Michael Keaton's Batman to make it out of the movie, to be honest.
I think he would have. I think he would have if it wasn't for James Gunn, because we know James Gunn doesn't like Michael Keaton's Batman. James Gunn has gone on record. He didn't like the Tim Burton Batman movies. I don't think he didn't like the Christopher Nolan Batman movies either. He's very, very he was very, very critical of all of that stuff, and people tend to forget that. But he's the guy that's in charge of DC. It's insane.
No, I get what you're saying, Batman. It's okay.
So did Andy Muschietti just crap all over the fans, or did he crap all over the Flash character, or both? I'm gonna read the article, or at least read bits and pieces of the article, Socks. So we'll get to that exactly. The Flash was meddled by gun. It would have been a much more superior movie with the original vision. Absolutely. And we know this because we saw all of the screenshots of all the stuff that was filmed. We literally see there was going to be more Ben Affleck. There were scenes with Henry Cavill in the movie, which to me is completely unforgivable that they completely cut Henry Cavill out of the movie. There was going to be more Sasha Kaye, who happened to be a very badass character, but was given very little, in the way of what to work with, and then she just kind of disappears from the film. They killed her off too. To me, there's just so much potential. There's just so much potential. That's all.
I wanted to see what had Ben Affleck so excited about this character in the Batman, in the Flash, because we all heard it when he was doing the press releases for the Flash. He's like, I feel like I finally got this character. Hey Bishop, what do you mean that this is the last one? No, I want to do more. I wanted to see what got him so excited, and clearly that bridge scene wasn't it.
No, there was more. There was more to it than that, and we know, because I will say this: all the scenes that Ben Affleck was in, with the exception the few minutes that Ben Affleck was in it, I thought his scenes were good. I liked his scenes in the movie, and his interactions with Barry, I thought were really good. But then there's the whole idea that none of the Snyderverse actors, with the exception of Michael Caine and Ezra Miller, even got credited for being in this movie at all, which I thought that was pretty telling as well. So for everybody that says, "Oh, but it's connected to the Snyderverse. Oh, it's supposed to be it's supposed to be a tribute to the Snyderverse or whatever." Yeah, well, they treated the quote unquote Snyderverse actors very, very poorly in this movie. And again, they completely cut Henry Cavill out of the movie, and the only shot we got of Henry Cavill was just really, really bad CGI. So that to me is completely unforgivable, especially because they shot that stuff. And see, this is why I don't understand why people keep trying to defend this movie when they know what we could have got. Because I want to ask, what was so good about the movie that you have to keep defending it in spite of all of this, in spite of all of the stuff that it could have been? That's like I guess Mama Bear, the best example I could give would be Justice League. That's like saying, well, Justice League isn't that bad because Justice League has some connections to the Snyderverse. Justice League has some connections to the Snyder. I mean, Hans Zimmer did use, who was it? Danny Elfman did use the Hans Zimmer Superman theme. Yeah. When you see Henry Cavill going onto the ship to get his suit. He did use that theme. He did use the Zimmer theme. There were a couple scenes where when they were trying to resurrect Superman, where they did use that music. There were a few things in there. So there were a few Snyderverse nods to the Snyderverse, and there were references to BVS. So if you're going to use that logic and tell me that because the Flash has Snyderverse actors and the Flash is has some adjacent to the Snyderverse kind of stuff, and you're going to use that as an excuse to justify liking the movie, then you have to do the same thing for Justice League, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion.
Okay, two things. One, hey Charles. And it's funny you mentioned that though, because I'm one of the few people in the group that will openly admit I will still occasionally watch the Justice League movie. When I want a quick, just a quick something It's good. Is it anywhere near what ZSJL was? No. But it's still serviceable, and I will be 100%. The joke that Cyborg makes towards the end of the movie of "my toes hurt," I don't even understand how that's possible, but "my toes hurt." I love that because that is such a Teen Titans Cyborg moment. It makes me
Yeah.
chuckle every time.
I'm not going to say that it's it was bad. I would never say that. Oh yeah, this is a movie we should elevate. I like what you said about Justice League. This is not a movie we should elevate over the Snyderverse in any way. But what I am saying is you know if you could put that movie on in the background and watch it, I guess you could take The Flash and put it on in the background and watch it. Because there were some things I liked about it. I'm not going to completely trash the Flash movie, but all I'm saying is you don't have when you understand the potential. I feel like you can almost make a Justice League Snyderverse comparison to what we got with the Flash and what Muschietti wanted to give us based on the stuff we know about what Muschietti was planning to put into that movie, the stuff that he filmed.
You and I touched on this backstage, is that I can see where he was going before the notes. I really get I really get where he was going about that, and I can see what potential it has. I mean, we even had to the point of the one Superman actor that never got to see the light of day, Nicolas Cage. He even said, "That's not what I filmed."
Yeah, they didn't even use his stuff. You see, that alone, and this is what I'm not understanding. People are allowing their sentimentality because they like Ezra Miller as the Flash. They like some of the stuff that's in the Flash. I guess they like the flow of the movie or whatever. They're letting that blind them to the fact that this movie could have been a masterpiece. This movie had all the potential. Like you said, you could totally see where the movie starts out, the direction it could have gone if they would have allowed him to tell that story. And when you realize all the stuff that was cut from this movie, the Muschietti cut, I think, is somewhere around nearly 4 hours long, just like the Snyder cut. And there's so much in it that if we got to see it, we would all probably love it. Snyderverse fans and DC fans alike. And that's what I mean. You can't please everybody, but to me, this movie did was mainly allow James Gunn to laugh and enjoy himself and get a great chuckle out of the expense of the Snyderverse. And a lot of people lapped it up. Like it was acceptable that Barry is stuck in this Batman and Robin Schumacher verse at the end of the movie. Why would you consider that to be an acceptable outcome for Snyderverse Flash? Why is that something that you want? I could see if that's something that you're going to follow up on. And I said this before, that if you're going to bring back George Clooney, then James Gunn needs to own that and make George Clooney his Batman going forward. You don't set up something that you're not going to pay off, but it just goes to show how much he treated the Snyderverse like it was a joke. I mean,
yeah, I can't see him. I can't see even him bringing back George Clooney. At the very least, when it comes to whoever's going to be his Batman, I will stand by. I have said this opinion elsewhere. I will say it here, so you guys have it on record. You can clip this. If trunks are good enough for Superman, trunks are good enough for Batman.
Yep. He's got to have the trunks now, and it's got to be brave and the bold all the way. But and Bat Danny answers my question here. Bo DeMeo treated the allegations about Ezra Miller as fact. You see, Bat Dan, that's the problem, because every single comment under this article about Muschietti, where he talks about blaming women for the failure of the movie, every single comment underneath blames Ezra Miller for the failure of the movie. And there are every single comment about Ezra Miller in here is basically attributing the allegations as though they're fact. So regardless of whether or not it turned out to be true or not, we live in a post-truth society. And I've said this before. Truth doesn't matter anymore. All that matters is perception. If you believe something to be a certain way, that's all it is. It has nothing to do about what's real or not. Because if we're going off of facts, a lot of things in this world would be different. So the fact of the matter is, okay, a lot of people still believe all that nonsense about Ezra Miller, whether it's true or not. That's the perception, and the media didn't do a good job of pointing out that Ezra Miller was, all that stuff was dropped. The media didn't do a good job about that. Everybody still has the same mentality about Ezra Miller as they did when all this stuff was being reported on, because people didn't bother to look. They didn't care enough. They'd already made up their mind about what they thought about Ezra Miller. So,
and that is a factor that cannot be ignored. Like, court of public opinion really was not in favor of Ezra Miller at that point. He had had way too much bad press, very public bad press to that. Like, I know a few people that even turned around and said, I will never watch a movie as long as he's in it.
That's it. That's actually in this article, in the comments section under this article. People are still saying that to this day. Yeah.
My Sunday co-host, Mockany Draws. If you ask him, he will say it very, passionately.
But that's just, that's just wrong. I mean, the guy was found innocent of all this stuff, but it doesn't matter because it's all about perception. Yeah.
No, I know it's all about perception. That's the problem. I mean, we had like Johnny Depp being skewered for the longest time. Would I like to see Ezra, make a comeback like Johnny? Like, I'm hoping Johnny Depp will soon in the future, like Robert Downey Jr. did it. Because let's not ignore the fact that for the longest time he was a pariah in the industry as well. I would love to see that because he was in a number of some of my favorite franchises. And he is a talented actor, no matter what anyone wants to say. Same with Jonathan Majors, as Zox is bringing it up. But I think at this point it needs to be laid low for a bit. And unfortunately, they put him right front and center, right in the middle of the whole media mess connected to Ezra Miller, and hoping that was going to get washed over, and it didn't.
Yeah. God, it's hard to believe that this movie came out in 2023. It feels newer to me. Released in 2023, The Flash grossed $271 million by the end of its run. It is not a small figure by any means, but considering the budget, size, and projected marketing cost, the DC blockbuster needed to double that figure to get out of the red. Muschietti said the reason The Flash couldn't recoup cost was because it failed to hit all four quadrants of moviegoer demographics, specifically focusing on women under 25 and women over 25. Despite Warner Brothers' best efforts, The Flash failed among all the other reasons because it wasn't a movie that appealed to all four quadrants. It failed at that, Muschietti said on a radio show when you spend $200 million making a movie, Warner Brothers wants you to bring even your grandmother to the theaters. Okay, but Muschietti, here's the thing. I brought a woman with me to see The Flash. Okay, we watched it together. Mama Bear is a woman. She went to see The Flash. APass is a woman. She went to see The Flash. I can name dozens of other women that I know that went to see The Flash. What are we talking about here?
Not only my woman that went to go see The Flash, I have been a Flash fan since the 90s. Since John Wesley Shipp. He is still...
He was great. He was great in the role. Flash. I love that. I love that show because it has almost like a Batman '89 aesthetic to it.
Yeah,
it's definitely very, very 90s, very, very late 80s.
It's a lot more colorful than the Keaton Gotham.
It was very, very good though. I loved it. John Wesley Shipp was amazing. The whole concept.
Mark Hamill, beautiful. Just the whole thing. I was a huge fan of the series, and when the Flash TV series finally got him into the suit, I fangirled. I totally fangirled.
And the suit actually looked pretty good too. I mean, it had a nice elasticity to it that made sense when it comes to him having to move so fast. It was actually pretty good. I actually still to this day prefer John Wesley Shipp's costume to the one that they used on the Grant Gustin CW series for sure.
Grant Gustin wound up going through a number of costumes throughout the series, and he's commented this on this himself, that he increasingly gets that he was always getting frustrated over the fact that he couldn't build up to look like the Flash in the comics, or conversely, John Wesley Shipp, because that's not how his body does. So they would go through a lot of process, particularly with the hoods, to see if they could accent the jawline or whatever. But he was such a great Barry Allen. I mean, you couldn't help but love him. He definitely had that goofiness that went with the character, while also increasingly showing the scientific side, which is something I'm a big fan of. They show how smart he actually is too. Mind you, I was a fan of the Arrowverse right from the start. So
yeah, a lot of commenters said that the Flash movie would have done a lot better if they would have just replaced Ezra Miller with Grant Gustin. Yeah. Now, I don't necessarily believe that, because at the end of the day, Grant Gustin is a TV actor. He's not a movie actor. So if you put a TV actor in a movie, if you elevate this TV actor to a movie and he's mainly a TV actor, it's going to show that he's a TV actor. I mean, he did a good job in the TV show, but it's not like you can just take. There's a reason why. In a lot of cases, you have actors who are primarily TV actors, and you have actors who are primarily film actors, and there is a difference between the two. But I don't know. I'm at the point now where I kind of can't really disagree with that, given the fact that people still to this day hold such a grudge against Ezra Miller. That you could have replaced, you would have, bad optics, and you could easily replace. You could have replaced Ezra Miller with John Wesley Shipp at this point in the movie. Probably would have did better.
I would have so been there for it.
I would have too. I think it would have. You honestly could have, or gotten a completely different actor to play the Flash, and you might have, based on these comments. I think it's very, very clear. The consensus is that a lot of people are blaming Ezra Miller, and that's why they didn't go see the movie.
And that's it exactly. I mean, that was the one I pulled up, because he's blaming women, but the CW, we got the CW Flash, as we're talking about Grant Gustin. Apparently, I pulled I pulled it up. CW's Flash is intended for older teens and mature audiences. However, the average age of a CW viewer is 58 years old, which is older than many people expect. Whatever. CW's target audience is typically women between the ages of 18 and 34. However, the average age of a CW viewer is 58 years old. A lot of women loved the CW shows. I mean, if you take a look at like some of their biggest franchises, like Supernatural, like Riverdale, they aren't geared towards men.
Nope. Supergirl obviously was geared towards women. Obviously.
Yeah. I remember the outrage when they put pants on her.
I would even say that Superman and Lois is geared towards female viewers.
But it wound up getting an audience with both, and a lot of them did.
Like Gem and the Holograms.
You and I will discuss that one day.
Yeah. But you can make a valid comparison here because
if you're talking the 80s cartoons, that's one thing. we don't acknowledge any other Gem and the Holograms.
Right. We're talking about the 80s, we're talking about the 80s cartoon. It was geared towards women and for little girls, but it ended up getting a male audience as well. As I grew up with it, and I watched it with my sister.
Yeah.
So I could say that I could see the dynamics of these kinds of things. And Batman says, if Zack Snyder got to use Supergirl for Zack Snyder's Justice League 2 and 3, would you guys like to see Sasha Calle? Yeah, I thought she was excellent. I thought she was good. I thought she was one of the bright spots in the movie that was once again squandered due to the potential that was there, but the fact that James Gunn just wanted to make everything into a joke.
Honestly, I loved her in the role. I did want to see more of her. I was one, and I don't know if you'll remember this. I was one of the few that was actually, in favor of her when everyone else, you remember that when those set photos got released and everyone's like, oh, she's got a 6-pack abs. It's going to be totally woke, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, that's a harness. I've worn harnesses for height stuff. I know what that looks like. That's going to be worked out and sure enough, which is, I know they love saying that same thing when it comes to, the Superman thing, but that's not getting worked out.
Yeah. So apparently, because we didn't take our grandmothers to see the Flash, that was a big contributing factor in the movie's failure.
I mean, I could have brought my grandmother, but I really don't like playing with Ouija boards, so
Right, we're supposed to. Some of us were supposed to dig up our grandparents for this movie. Thank you, Andy Muschietti. That's very morbid, for sure.
I just show up with a jar. Come on, Grandma, we're gonna go watch this movie.
And Batman's thoughts rightfully corrected me here. Michael King was not in the Flash. I met Jeremy Irons. I was thinking about Michael King because I had just seen something for The Dark Knight Rises before the show, and yeah. So yes, I stand corrected, Batman and Mama Bear.
Honestly, he's one of those actors that I'm going to be the saddest about getting replaced with the whole reboot thing, because I love Jeremy Irons. There's something about him. I don't know if it's the way he talks or whatever. I love him in every role he does.
Yeah, I do too. But Prime. Here's the thing. Sin Havoc. Correct me if I'm wrong on this, but didn't they reshoot the ending for the Flash like 7 times? I thought I had read somewhere that there are 7 different endings to this movie because they shot all the footage with, and then not to mention the post-credit scene with Ben Affleck being stranded, the Henry Cavill stuff. There was more Sasha Calle. There was more Michael Keaton. But you know who there isn't anything of in any of these additional endings and additional stuff that was shot? George Clooney. There's no additional George Clooney stuff because the George Clooney stuff was added by James Gunn. It was a ransom note.
Yeah, I don't remember who it was supposed to be originally, and that's where somebody like Sky or whatever would 100% remember. But I know they had a complete different actor plan to step out of the car, and it wasn't going to be.
Yeah, it actually should have been Gunn's. It should have been Gunn's new Batman. Here's my whole issue. Because The Flash is a multiversal film, if there's any movie whatsoever that you could use to set up a new timeline, it would be The Flash. So I don't understand why Gunn didn't take this opportunity to if he's going to give ransom notes to the movie and basically ruin the movie anyway, why not just use this movie as a vehicle to set up your timeline, to set up your new Batman, to set up your what happens, to set up your new Flash. I half expected to see Ezra Miller replaced.
He hasn't put a clear definition on where his universe starts and the Snyderverse stops.
Very true.
That's the biggest frustrating thing for me, because we've been hearing it for like the past year or so. Oh, Blue Beetle is where we start. Blue Beetle fails. No, it isn't. This is where we start. No, it's not. Pick a line. Pick a line in the sand. Draw it. Bad enough that you're recycling characters.
Yes, exactly. Yes, Batman. Danny Elfman used the Hans Zimmer theme when all of the Justice League was on the ship and they were resurrecting Clark in the water. Danny Elfman used the Zimmer music then. Yes. There was a deleted scene. No, well, Elfman actually talked about Ray. I saw an interview where Elfman actually talked about his music choices for the Flash, and he talked about why he used. I'm confusing my movies now. Why he used different themes for the Justice League. He actually talked about using Hans Zimmer's theme. He talked about the fact that he used a twisted version of the John Williams theme, and that's when Superman was fighting the Justice League. He talked about why he chose to use his version of the Batman theme, because to him that's the only version of the Batman theme. I'm actually kind of surprised they didn't get Danny Elfman to come in and score the Flash movie. That kind of surprises me, considering the fact that they used Michael Keaton's Batman in that movie. So
it would have made sense, but it was probably too dark of a theme for Gunn. I mean, let's face it, he's probably looking for clown music or something like that. You know, or the song that they play at the ice cream trucks.
Yeah, I could agree with you. You know, the clown music that you hear in the three-ring circus clown music that you hear in Batman Returns when Batman's fighting all the clowns and throwing exploding wind-up penguins and things. Yeah. We got Retro Nerd Girl in the chat. It is so great to see you, Retro Nerd Girl. Always love seeing Retro in the chat. Yes. This is what I'm talking about here. Another female who saw the Flash movie. but not according to Andy Muschietti. Of course, Andy Muschietti is talking about a younger. He's blaming the younger demographic of women, but actually not really. He said he was blaming under 25 and over 25. So yeah, that's where the grandmother comment comes in. Yeah. I guess all you ladies, if you're over 25, you're considered a grandma, according to Andy Muschietti.
Not there yet. My kid's 11.
for real. That's crazy. I mean, I just the gall of these people, and like the lengths that they'll go to defend the fact that they made a subpar movie, but they want to blame everybody else. They don't want to blame. They don't want to take any responsibility. This is typical Warner Brothers. Like, and I mean, do we know for sure? Is it confirmed that he's still directing The Brave and the Bold, or did he step down from that? I don't even know at this point.
Honestly, I think at this point, both him and what is it, Matt Reeves, who does the Batman, I think they're both getting ghosted by Gunn, and they don't know it.
Yeah, I think they're both done. I don't think you're gonna get either one. I think Gunn knows what he wants to do with Batman. I think Gunn knows what he wants to do with Flash and all these other characters. I don't think Gunn cares about any particular singular vision for these characters but his own.
Yeah, and that's it. We haven't seen any project really being announced that is directed by anybody else. I don't think his ego would allow that. And I'm sorry if that's going to upset a few people, but that's the way I see it.
The thing with me, I love the Flash, but I will admit the faults. It's more about the connection to the Snyderverse. I love, but that's the thing I call into question, Batman. Does it really connect to the Snyderverse, or does it just make the Snyderverse the butt of the joke? Because that's what I got out of it. I felt like, yeah, you had all this potentiality of good scenes. Yeah, you had the great, Ben Affleck scenes with the Flash, and you had a few things in there, but you also had a lot of stuff that was very jokey and very
it felt like it connected more to Justice League than
right. Especially, there were a lot of things in there that felt more in tune with that. Yeah, there were some Snyderverse adjacent scenes, but when you think about it, it's very. It definitely felt multiversal to me on that level. Like, you could flip a coin. Some of it was Snyderverse, some of it was Justice League, some of it was,
like that whole
Tim
thing
Burton
with the lasso of truth. That was 100% Justice.
Oh yeah, 100% right out of Justice League, actually. Because the same thing happened with Aquaman. Remember?
I loved the scene in Justice League. I'm not gonna lie. That may largely be because hearing Momoa going, "Ooh, you're gorgeous," and I could have that as my morning ringtone, my alarm clock for that.
You should have that as your ringtone, Mama Bear. I mean, imagine how you would feel if you're waking up every morning to that, hearing, "You're gorgeous." Jason Momoa telling you how gorgeous you are every morning.
Yeah.
Would you not feel good, and that would that not be a wonderful way to start your day? I mean, come on. That's beautiful.
The whole lasso scene in the Flash, that was cringe. That wasn't funny camp. It was cringe.
Right. It was like another. It felt to me like a gun note. Like it was something that was just thrown in there again to be a callback to Justice League, because again, Warner Brothers considers Justice League to be canon. And I also would say that if you take the movie that Muschietti wanted to release, I have to wonder if that scene would even be in there, because I kind of feel like Muschietti was making a more serious story with a little bit more of the obvious, Back to the Future type tone. But at the end of the day, it was supposed to be more in line with the Snyder Cut than Justice League. But unfortunately, when we have people like James Gunn in charge of a studio, what do you expect? Make no mistake, though, if we got the Muschietti cut of this movie, I would never watch the theatrical cut of The Flash again. Well, that's the way I feel about it too, Batman. I think we could, with the Muschietti cut, we would get what we wanted, because we would get to see all the stuff that we know he filmed with all the characters that we care about.
I think this is one of the ones that I actually would solely watch the director's cut, because there are some like Justice League I will go back and forth on. This one was it was a hodgepodge. It had no consistency for me, and I struggled with that. There was too many cooks in the kitchen for that one.
And I'm glad you brought that up, Socks, because CGI, when they didn't even talk to the family of Christopher Reeve to get permission to do the CGI. The family didn't know anything about that CGI. They just went and did it. And not only did they do CGI, it was bad CGI at that. It wasn't even good CGI. And then I go back to what you said, Mama Bear, about the Nicolas Cage. They didn't even use the stuff that Nicolas Cage actually filmed for the movie. So we still have never actually seen Nicolas Cage's true version of Superman.
Yeah.
We got a CGI rendered, but what looks like an AI rendered character versus what we could have got. What Nicolas Cage himself actually came out and said he actually shot material, which we would have probably got in the director's cut. We should have gotten a Flash movie a long time ago. Rick Fumiyawa revealed the story ideas to his Flash film. What we needed was a Flash movie based on the Flashpoint paradox, which was what Zack Snyder was trying to set up. We should have had Thomas Wayne in it. It should have been that story. It should not have been, what it turned out to be. But when you have a movie that's been in development hell as long as The Flash, and Sin Havoc points that out here. Remember, The Flash was supposed to be out back in 2019. And Bishop says, even though The Flash has its problems, I still really enjoy it. I don't think anybody can say that it was all bad. And that's the thing I'm trying to say. I'm not down on anybody who liked it, who loved it. I'm just saying, for me, there's just so much working against it that I cannot look at it and separate what the movie could be versus what the movie actually is. I just have a very, very hard time with it. And again, I was very, very salty about the fact that they cut out Henry Cavill and cut out all the good stuff that we'd heard about being filmed for this movie and actually seen screenshots of, but didn't actually get. To me, that's unforgivable.
I mean, most of this chat knows that there's a handful of guys that are huge fans of The Flash that are near and dear to my heart. So, honestly, if you love The Flash, 100% good on you. For me, there was a lot of stuff that it felt incomplete or it felt wrong. It just didn't feel like a finished product for me. I guess that's the best way I can put it.
Yeah, it's still a work in progress. And some of the CGI is so bad that it looks like it's pre-res. That scene where the babies are falling from the sky, I thought that was a joke. I remember seeing that back when it was concept art, and it looks almost like it actually looks better in concept art than it does in live action. When you actually look at the concept art versus how they actually did it, it looks like it's just a bunch of baby dolls falling from the sky. It's terrible.
Disjointed. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you.
Disjointed is a great word for it. Yes. Sin Havoc says it's almost 4 hours, the Muschietti cut. Yeah. See, that's what we need. We need to see this for real. We need to see it. I can't watch Justice League anymore when I watch CSJL.
After this comment of him going, oh, it's the women. It's the women. They didn't go watch it. If it comes out, great. I'm not championing for it.
Yeah, to me, blaming the female audience for your failed movie is, to me, disgusting and despicable. Because there are plenty of female fans of all ages who went to see this movie. Okay, and just because you made a bad movie doesn't mean you get to blame. See, and what is it, Mama Bear, about the consistent trend that filmmakers have nowadays, where instead of taking responsibility for their crap, they like to blame it all on the audience. How is it the audience's fault that you made a bad movie?
I don't even think it's a nowadays thing.
Objectively speaking, I don't understand.
We've been seeing this trend since The Last Jedi.
Yeah, it's the audience's fault.
It's the audience's fault. Our movie wasn't the problem.
We didn't make the movie. We didn't put crappy CGI and strand the Flash in the Schumacher verse at the end of the movie. We didn't do that. How is it our fault that your movie failed because you made a bad movie? I don't understand any of this. It's like, for real? And didn't James Gunn come out and say that The Flash was the best superhero movie he'd ever seen?
Yep.
That's a quote. That's a quote from James Gunn. The Flash is the greatest superhero movie I've ever seen.
James Gunn said it. He had a whole bunch of celebrities saying it, that it's the best.
I think he had Stephen King came out. Tom Cruise.
It will give you superpowers if you watch it. No. All that nonsense.
For the record, Austin, Josh, and I have never defended the ending of The Flash. For the record, I never said you did. I never said that you did defend that, and I'm not attacking you because you like the movie or dislike the movie.
I know Austin has criticized the ending of The Flash. I have seen him do it.
Yeah, the ending of The Flash is deplorable. Because we know what Andy Muschietti wanted to do at the end of the movie, and it wasn't show us George Clooney and strand Ezra Miller in the Batman and Robin universe. Schumacher is still better than Matt Reeves. I agree. Wait till we see finally get to see the Schumacher cut of Batman Forever. I think a lot of people will change their opinion on Joel Schumacher.
I'm still 50-50 on the Schumacher cut. I'm not gonna lie. Again, if it comes out, I'm totally gonna watch it. But I can't see how, because Tommy Lee Jones was such a bad choice for Two-Face. I can't see how that's going to be improved.
It actually should have been. We know it should have been Billy D. Williams. It should have been.
Absolutely.
Especially if they were, they're trying to drum it up and make us believe it's the same continuity as the Burtonverse. But I don't consider it to be the same continuity as the Burtonverse. I consider Batman and Batman Returns to be its own thing, and then the Schumacher. And then actually the Schumacher versus two movies, because two separate universes, because Val Kilmer is objectively different from George Clooney's version.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of separate, and he didn't strand Ezra Miller in the Val Kilmer version of the Schumacher verse. No, he stranded Ezra Miller in the George Clooney Batman and Robin version of the timeline. So that tells you, and Batman and Robin is considered to be one of the worst movies of all time. Not just superhero, but just generally.
George Clooney was quoted walking out of the theater after watching Batman and Robin his direct quote was, "I think we killed Batman."
And not only that, he thought he ruined his career after that too.
Yes.
So the fact that he was willing to come back off all this after all this time means he knew it was a joke, and that's why he came back and did it, because it was a joke. I will say this: George Clooney looked pretty good at the end of that movie, though. They made George Clooney look cool. He looked cool.
The suit definitely helps.
But it was just so jarring. You take the most hated iteration of Batman, and you make that the end of your movie, and then you have Jason Momoa puking and throwing up in a ditch. And that's acceptable. That's what we're supposed to look at and say, "Oh yeah, this is great. This is great, James Gunn." I don't know. I guess you can take the good with the bad and say, okay, yeah, there's some of it was good, some of it was bad, whatever. And overall, if you liked the good more than the bad, I guess you can be happy with it. Me, I'm not happy with it. But it's still something I can watch from time to time. Justice League got my money once and only once in the theater. Yeah, Charles, I'm with you. In the theater, yes. We all went to the theater, just like we all went to the theater for The Flash. Blame those notes.
Yep.
James Gunn will put out Batman in the blue and gray suit with the trunks. Oh yeah, 100%.
Absolutely.
He's going to look like Adam West. He's going to look like Adam West.
I'm not going to lie. There is part of me that would actually like to see the style.
I would love to see that, and I also want to see James Gunn do Darkseid as well. Just because I want. I'm gonna show something right now here, and those of you that know, but I'm gonna show this here because I want to get your reaction to this, Mama Bear. Here, let's see. Share screen.
Let me guess, you have Sean Gunn as Darkseid.
Here we go. Let's go here. There we go. There we go. Can everybody see that? This is what we have. DC with Snyder, DC with Gunn. I cannot tell you exactly, just how accurate that this depiction is here. This is exactly what we're dealing with. Wow.
Oh.
Wow. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Does that not encapsulate the Gunverse in a nutshell?
Yeah. I mean, if it was more of a scuba suit that Darkseid was wearing, but yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I got here we go, guys. Let's see. Gotta scroll down here. I kind of lost my place where I was at. Oh, okay, here we go. The original Flash show from 1990. I remember watching that way back then. Yeah, great show. We got Graphic Vandalism, aka Johnny Alpha, in the chat. What's up, Graphic Vandalism? Johnny, good to see you, my friend. Him along with Retro Nerd Girl have parts in the One Punch Man movie. They play detectives Johnny and Valerie Steele, which I'm super excited about. Great characters in my upcoming movie, which is going to be better than The Flash, of course.
I'm allowed to be biased.
well, yeah, and your part in the movie. Just I fall in love every time your character is on screen because you have so much, you have so many great sequences, and you're just I just can't wait for everybody to see this movie, Mama Bear. I'm in the process of working on the assembly cut and trying to get it all together so that we have an actual cut to watch before I start making final decisions for the release version of the movie.
I know I've said it before. I do love the song you paired for Ruby's trailer. I still love it.
Yeah. Ruby is an awesome character, and she has a great a great storyline with Socks, Bulletin's character, the Cordovan speedster. It's just natural for me to want to talk about One Punch Dan when you see the character differential between Zack Snyder's dark side and James Gunn's dark side.
Well, not confirmed, but this is probably what we can expect.
I mean, it looks so much. That's how the costumes look. That's how the costumes look for all the characters in that movie. They look cheap like that. Oh my God! Like I would not be surprised. Yeah, Party City. You know, I mean, they got Superman wearing a diaper for Christ's sake. So depends.
Granny panties.
Yeah.
Superman's wearing granny panties.
Oh my God. James Gunn is not right for DC or any other comic book IP because he's not really a fanboy. He hates comic books and doesn't take them seriously.
Mm-hmm. I believe it.
Yeah, she was the best part of the movie. Ooh. Oh, Sasha Kaye. Yes, Sasha Kaye. Definitely. Definitely. I couldn't agree more. I've actually got Sasha Kaye's action figure. That's how much I love Sasha Kaye in that role and would like to have seen her, continue on as the character.
See, I wanted to get that one. I also wanted to get Cheetah. And the Cheetah doll from Mattel, I wanted to get that because I wanted to actually, do the flocking on it instead of the suit it comes in, because the sculpt beneath the suit is gorgeous.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I can honestly say I never had any desire to have a Cheetah figure, but I do have. But I do have Sasha Kaye. I got. Who else did I get? Black Adam. Henry Cavill. I got so many of the DC EU characters over here. I got Michael Keaton's Batman. I mean, and here we go. Retro nerd girl saying it. Jeremy Irons is my favorite actor. See, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
7 to 9. Oh my God, 7 to 9 different endings for the Flash movie. Holy crap! That's about like where those are like Rise of Skywalker numbers as far as the ending is concerned. Holy cow! Oh my goodness! I thought Kal-El was coming back in the Flash. Yeah, he was supposed to. Chubby. He was definitely supposed to, my friend. He was supposed to be there. Those scenes were filmed, and we didn't get them. Hopefully, we will get Jeremy Irons one more time as Alfred in the Batfleck movie, where Alfred will die. I kind of hope Alfred doesn't die, though. I mean,
no.
he's
I'm sorry. Bruce has lost enough in that universe. No.
Yeah, he's got to live forever. I want the Batfleck movie. I want the Batfleck movie to low-key kill off Batfleck and have Alfred alive at the end of the movie. I want Alfred to survive.
Yes. Make Jeremy Irons the Batman.
Wouldn't that be crazy? Just for one scene, you have Jeremy Irons put on the Batman mask. It wouldn't be any worse than what Muschietti did here. It was supposed to be Michael Keaton's Batman who stepped out of the car, and Ben Affleck's Batman lost in time in the nightmare. Exactly. Not only that, we were supposed to see Henry Cavill. And Sasha Kaye was supposed to return. Batdan's Thought says, when I first saw The Flash, I thought the scene with Barry and Arthur was the start of the DCU. It matched the tone, and it would allow Peacemaker Season 1 to be in the DCU in full. Yeah, but instead, James Gunn just decided, let's just make everything a joke. Everything's a joke with James Gunn. That's why I don't understand anybody literally taking his stuff seriously. How could you watch Creature Commandos and take the DCU seriously?
Honestly, I haven't even watched it. I will be 100 on that.
Oh, it is god awful. It is god awful.
I couldn't even with the trailers and the clips I've seen. No.
The characters are very horny, Mama Bear. Let me just
and that's it. I mean, I'm not against, some scenes, like there was what is it, Harley and Batman, with Melissa Roach.
Well, yeah. I mean, sexuality, sex scenes being used in the context of this stuff,
or the Suicide Squad animated movie
works sometimes, but just being used just for the sake of it, like what James Gunn is doing, is not good.
And when the one character looks a lot like James Gunn and the other one looks a lot like, we'll say, his wife, no, I don't want to watch that. I don't. No, thank you.
Oh yeah, they have quite the sex scene in Creature Commandos. Kenneth says here, James Gunn sabotaged The Flash and the other DC movies in 2023 to make way for his DCU. So he's at fault with The Flash bombing at the box office. And this is what I wanted Muschietti to say. I wanted him to come out and say that, oh, it was James Gunn. But I don't think he's going to do that, because he's still maybe hoping that he's going to get some work in the DCU. So maybe he is still directing Brave and the Bold. Who knows? Who knows? Always consider who benefited with all the sabotage. Yeah, I agree with you. He's getting ghosted just like Zachary Levi. Poor Zachary Levi, right? The Snyderverse just didn't materialize, just like your career just didn't materialize. Zachary Levi. Oh my God. So Andy Muschietti is not blaming women who are exactly 24. No, he's blaming women who are 24 and under, 24 and older.
Yep. He corrects himself to 25, but yeah.
25.
Yeah.
What is cool? John Travolta would play a good Lex Luthor. I don't know. I'm sure he could.
I can't see
it. Would be. It would almost be interesting to have John. Like if you do like the face-off connection with Nicolas Cage, where you have Nicolas Cage play Superman and John Travolta play Lex Luthor.
Yeah, that would be fun.
But it would almost be. It would almost. But and I don't think it could be any less serious than what James Gunn is doing with his DCU. But I would actually prefer to see that than what James Gunn is doing. Osa Fresh says Andy should have grown a pair and went with the original cut and not cuckolded to Gunn of all people. Yeah, but unfortunately, Andy Muschietti doesn't have that kind of clout. Osa Fresh, that's the problem. If Andy Muschietti had clout, okay, he would have been able to tell James Gunn what to do with his ransom notes, and he would have been able to put out the movie he wanted to put out. The gun cultists who think Super L will make 600 to 700 million are smoking that insane shiz. Yeah, Superman's not going to do well. We all know that. Muschietti is an a-hole.
We got the trolls rolling in.
As far as it officially stands right now, Muschietti is directing Brave and the Bold, but yeah, reality, he probably ain't doing it. Yeah, I'd be surprised if he does it. Let's see. Guys, why do we ignore Peter Safran? He is a big piece of these problems, remember? He is an Emmerich loyalist. Oh, yeah, 100%, Chubby. Yeah, we just don't talk about Peter as much. In fact, nobody talks about Peter because Peter is essentially an irrelevant silent POS, where we have Gunn, who's the most vocal, which is why we always talk about Gunn all the time, because Gunn can't stay off social media and just be a studio CEO. He has to be on social media, and every time he opens his mouth, he says something inappropriate. So
Yeah.
I have a feeling James Gunn will direct Brave and the Bold. Well, Rebel Moon Theory,
No doubt.
you're probably right. Penguin season 2 will come out before the Batman 2 and before the Brave and the Bold. Well, Sox, one of the things that I've come to realize is we might not get a season 2 of the Penguin either, because James Gunn is jealous of anything that he didn't come up with. So as good as the Penguin did, James Gunn has the power to say, nah, never mind. My comment was to put the focus on Ezra Miller's performance, not the Snyderverse connection. Okay, well, again, I get it. I understand all of that about, Ezra Miller's performance and people liking his performance and all that stuff. I understand that. He wasn't bad in it. I'm just saying that the perception of all of his behind the scenes stuff is what people used to justify not seeing The Flash. If you look at the comment section, it's filled. Almost all of the comments are people saying negative stuff about Ezra Miller. Batdan, you would probably have a stroke reading some of these Ezra Miller comments. Being as big of an Ezra Miller fan as you are, Batdan, you would probably have a stroke. So I would advise not reading the comments under this article. Gunn is Whedon 2.0. Yeah. I think the Andy Muschietti cut should be canon to the Snyderverse. It probably is. It probably could be considered that if it's done. We'll see if we ever get to see it. Do you think we'll ever get to see it, Mama Bear?
Honestly, I don't. The Muschietti cut? I doubt it.
Yeah. We've got a couple other cuts we have to get before we get the Muschietti cut, and we haven't been very lucky with those. So
I still have hope when it comes to some of those cuts. The other one, some of them, not so much.
Gunn only promised Muschietti Brave and the Bold to keep goodwill due to the Flash coming out, and he's wanted to avoid bad blood just like he did with Godot. Yeah, and now, like Mama Bear said, he's being ghosted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The studio was going with the Marvel 2.0 tone during that period, which is mind-numbing. Why WBD thinks this Gunn DCU will work. It failed with Armada. Yeah. I don't disagree with anything you guys are saying here. But the thing about this, Johnny, is we didn't actually get to see Nick Cage's Superman. We got to see a CGI version of Nick Cage's Superman. Nick Cage actually filmed actual scenes in his Superman suit.
Something much different
for this movie that we didn't get to see, and he said it himself. That's the problem. Yeah, anybody could. I could make a version of Nick Cage's Superman right now, like what I'm doing with One Punch Dan. I could go in and I could make a CGI version of what we got, and it would look better than what we got in the Flash. I don't understand how they could actually have filmed stuff with Nicolas Cage as Superman and not used it. Unbelievable. Batdan says, the way I look at the Flash canon under Armada, Justice would have been canon under DeLuca. Snyderverse would have been canon under James Gunn. It didn't matter to him because he was rebooting. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I didn't know Chris Reeves' family didn't know about the CG. No, yeah, they didn't know. They didn't know, and I think that's why Christopher Reeves' son has a cameo in this new Superman movie, because they want to, James Gunn wanted to throw the family a bone since they used Christopher Reeve without permission in The Flash.
Mm-hmm.
Even I said the multiverse scenes, they could have just used archive scenes from Superman 78 to show a scene that was already filmed. Yeah, there was a lot of deleted material. There was a lot of unused material for those movies if they wanted to use Christopher Reeve. That doesn't make any sense to me either, what they did. You know how many directors were attached to the Flash movie, only to end up leaving because of Gunn's ransom notes and the fire sale? Yeah. Sin Havoc. You always get the facts from Sin Havoc. The blame goes to Gunn announcing a reboot before the 2023 DC films came out. Well, yeah, that didn't help. That did not help.
Yeah, you may need to skip over a bunch of these because you were really behind. Holy wow. We actually have somebody currently in the chat that is from Argentina, where Andy Muschietti is from, and they said that the translation was absolutely, whoever translated was doing him a massive disservice.
Okay, we'll scroll down here and see if we can get to that, because I know that I'm behind here. Got so many comments. Let's see.
I know. And don't get me wrong, we're grateful for the comments because we love the activity.
We'll be here all night.
Yes. I'm going to need to refill my drink.
Okay, I think I scrolled down. Where is he also?
You're looking for GHC.
GHC? Okay. Mm-hmm. JHC, the one where this one here?
Yep.
He also said the George Clooney ending was because James Gunn's arrival. They didn't want the ending which connects with the old DCU. Okay. Well, see, this is what I'm talking about. Okay, so the whole reason for this stream here is based on a mistranslation.
Yeah, scroll up to 1105. That's where they jump in the chat. And GDI, I'm ignoring you right now. I'm just saying.
Okay. Here?
A little higher.
Okay.
I just watched the interview with Andy. He never blames the audience. He mentions the Ezra Miller incidents. He blames superhero fatigue, and that says that later he found out that by someone who the Flash wasn't as popular, maybe to make him feel better, the studios make a ton of research about this stuff. Right below Charles Austin in the Geek Defense Initiative. Just a little above that.
Okay.
We had a lot of stuff come up. Yeah, 1105. But that was the next comment. Interview was in Spanish, so I don't know who did such a bad translation. And that seems to be coming up a lot lately. Maybe there are some who doesn't want him to direct this stuff. First thing he mentions as a cause of the failure is the Ezra Miller incidents, even when he has a great relationship with him on set.
Okay. So it sounds like Muschietti was rather honest then, and it was the bad translation that just took what he said out of context.
Yeah. Like, I'm legit, if this is somebody who actually is from the area with, as like they're saying, so they understand what he was saying in his native language.
Okay,
I will take your word for it.
JHC, I will take that as a redeeming feature and stand corrected on all of it then.
Yeah,
Honestly. That's fine. I'm glad that this happened, because I'm glad you're here then, because that to me is, it's great to, to get the truth, because I really, that really made Muschietti look bad. That quote made him look terrible.
it did. They just dropped down. I don't. What I'm saying is that he didn't blame the audience. He found out later that the Flash wasn't as popular because someone approached him with some stats. And it's silly for that stats to be out there. But
Well, it was like the thing that I found that said that the Flash was primarily aimed at 10-year-old girls, the TV show.
yeah, which is insane.
You can find a lot of stats, but that doesn't mean that they're true. It's just like I was saying, JHC, at the beginning of the stream, where we're living in a post-truth era where it's not about truth anymore. It's about perception. However you perceive things is how people will, what people will run with. It's because I think something is this way. This is the opinion I'm going to have, and I'm going to go with this. I don't care what anybody else thinks. Everybody has their own individual truth, which is basically just their perception of things. It's not really the way things are, because you have my side, your side, and then you have the truth. There's always a juxtaposition somewhere in there. So
anyone who doesn't recognize that is selling you. Just they're either deluding themselves or they are selling you a load of nonsense. We'll go with that, because I've come across it even in real life. And
absolutely.
thank you, Batman.
Yeah. Bat Dan says, unlike the mainstream media regarding Ezra Miller, ZodWriter and Mama Bear don't want to wrongfully defame someone and will correct the narrative. Yeah. Listen, that's the thing. When all that stuff came out about Ezra Miller, we were wise to wait and see how it played out and not jump to conclusions like the majority of people did when it came to Ezra Miller. A lot of people saw the headlines and automatically assumed Ezra Miller's a bad guy. Ezra Miller's doing all this. Ezra Miller, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And to this day, they still have that viewpoint because they can't be bothered. You know what it is? They can't be bothered to look at things anywhere any differently because it already gels with what they believe. They put it in their mind that Ezra Miller's a bad guy, so they don't need any more reaffirming of that because they already believe that in their mind. That's their perception. So they're not going to bother to change their perception. Maybe the purpose was to somehow make Andy look bad. I think so. I think so, Alan. I believe that's the case because it did. It made me upset. It made Mama Bear upset. So it worked, right? It worked. Like, oh, this guy is an out of touch a-hole.
Rape is so common nowadays, and I will 100% acknowledge that it is. I've called other people out for falling into rage bait, and yes, in this case, this is something that I've been caught into. And
but there's a ton of articles. But there's a ton of articles who quoted this. But there's tons of articles out there that quoted him like this. It's not just one source. It's multiple sources who got it wrong. So that means that what are you going to believe? So people are going to have this misconception about Andy Muschietti all because of a mistranslation. And see, now I feel bad because I'm like, man, it makes more sense what JHC is saying here. And you can kind of understand how there can be, some miscommunication and mistranslation. And you can kind of see where that comes from. But it's not like he's speaking he's speaking some language that you can't translate. I mean, what? It wasn't his thoughts. Someone said to him, The Flash wasn't popular, specifically for a women audience. It sounds like studio stats, but it was he found it later. Okay, JHC, that makes total sense. I feel a lot better now because now I don't feel like Andy Muschietti is a scumbag. Now I can relax a little bit because
there's enough scumbags at WB. Sorry, did I say
right,
that?
right. We don't want to include Andy in that discussion. Like I said, like I said earlier, I kind of lost a lot of respect for Andy after hearing that, and then DHC, thank you, JHC, thank you for being here and clarifying that and making that clear, because it cools me off a little bit now. I feel a little better because it just goes to show you can't trust anything. You can't trust anything that you read anymore because it's just BS.
It is. Brucey. See Kingdom of Nerds in the house. Mm-hmm.
I'm living my truth. Yeah, I really can't stand. Everybody has their truth, not the truth.
Mm-hmm.
The truth used to matter, Bishop, but it doesn't anymore. Cavill will be treated so much better in the MCU than he was by those down the street. Facts.
Yep.
I will write a comment with my
full translation.
With your full translation. Okay, cool. Because
if you can, that would be wonderful.
I feel like this is great because we, getting the facts of the incorrect translation changes everything. It really does. Because now I'm like, wow, you totally like alleviated the reason entirely for this stream. I mean, because if it's just what he said, then it's not in any way negative whatsoever. And if they brought those statistics to Andy and through some studio statistics to him like that, yeah, I can totally see now what this is coming from. Wow. DC needs to be bought by another company because as long as WB owns the IP, it will never be successful. So hopefully Zaslav sells WB with DC to another company who can do right with DC. Yeah, hopefully. Yeah. Sin is right. It's Gunny Poo's fault. Yeah, it is Gunny Poo's fault, Nightwing. Definitely.
I start calling him Nerf Gun. I don't get the Gunny Poo thing. He's been nerfing the whole DC.
And Charles Austin says, exactly, Zod, we reserve judgment, and I'm glad we did. Imagine any one of us in this position. Yeah.
You and I have both been there.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. You can't just condemn a guy based on headlines. And that's what these people did. They've literally, every single one of them is basically just aping the headlines about Ezra rather than going back and actually doing some research, reading the articles. They don't care because they all thought Ezra was a creep. They didn't like Ezra anyway. And they also don't like Ezra because he's part of the Snyderverse, and Snyder derangement syndrome is real. So you've got that to contend with.
But this is also why I'm appreciative for people like JHC that popped in the chat, who did correct us. And because they didn't need the whatever Chat GPT translator or whatever that the articles that are circling around. So they gave us the facts of what he actually said, and I do appreciate that.
Yeah,
both you and I have been convicted over random stuff that less stuff that was not true about either of us.
That's true. We got Kingdom of Nerds in the chat. Good evening.
That's Brucifer. Normally you find me with him on Mondays. and pretty much any
Absolutely.
other day he wants me.
You know what? I'm not even going to go into how that sounded, but I will keep that to myself because
Lucifer and I do have a very similar playful relationship than what you and I have had over the years.
Okay, well, I can totally understand.
He is a fantastic man, and somebody with a impeccable knowledge of comic books.
Well,
And
that's
Charles,
always
if you're still in the chat, if you're looking for somebody for your show, I would recommend Lucifer. There's few people I've seen that have that level of knowledge.
yeah. That wow. Well, that's great. That's what we need more of. We need more people with that comic book knowledge of Lucifer. Come on, man.
Mhm.
You know, be honest, do right, tell the truth. I mean, come on, the real truth, not just your truth.
Yes.
Same to me. Insanity. Oh my
Anytime,
goodness.
Brucey.
So we have our own truths, huh? Okay, then my truth is connected to Britney Spears and Sydney Sweeney. Okay. All right, Socks. Well, yeah.
I'm seeing why you hooked up our characters. There's a common denominator there.
Remember, James Gunn lied on the DC Snyder fandom, saying we were a small toxic minority and too fractured is why he whispers in Zaslav's ear to reboot, not bring back the DCEU. Yeah, it's all BS. It's all BS. Bat Dan says, and they also ran with the headlines because they were desperate for Grant Gustin to be the DCEU Flash. Well, yeah, a lot of people wanted that too. A lot of people were salty because of Ezra being the Flash in the first place, with Grant Gustin being Flash for 9 years.
That Stephen Amell was championing the Grant Gustin for the Snyderverse Flash. You know, it didn't help, but you know what? I can't hate on him for it.
And this is a great point by Kingdom of Nerds. None of the trades put out a retraction about Ezra. They tried to ruin Ezra's life. Exactly. But nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about that. It's like, oh, we don't care because Ezra's just a creepy Snyderverse actor, right? That's the mentality. Oh my God. And Bo DeMayo even spread the lies about Ezra Miller today. That's so terrible. I can't believe Bo DeMayo, as clued in as he is on fandom and things like that, that he could go at Ezra Miller like that, especially considering what he went through.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Somebody who has been through similar. I still stand by Marvel. Just fill up a dump truck full of money and men and just drive it right up to his front porch. Okay? Just give him whatever he wants for season 3. You and I will not see eye to eye on that, Brucey. But you're more DC than MCU.
As I said when I woke up from anesthesia, Ezra Miller is innocent. Hashtag sell ZSJL to Netflix. Hashtag sell Snyderverse to Netflix. Oh my God. It's my truth. I'm getting married to a beautiful girl tomorrow. Doesn't mean it's true. Well, you never know, Bat Dan. Stranger things have happened in life. So
yeah.
It's my truth that I'm the first man from Themyscira and my name is Jason Prince. Well, Bishop, you've been pushing that for the longest time, for as long as I've known you. So I've come to actually accept that as truth, to be honest with you.
It is the truth. It is the truth. And the lasso of truth was woven from his hair. I stand by it.
Yeah, I can't disagree. I mean that see, there are some things that we just, that get ingrained in our heads and just get accepted as truth because of it. If you say something long enough, the belief,
Appreciate you,
goes out
JAC.
there. Yeah, I'm going to get down to your comments. I know you've got comments
take your time.
at the bottom. JHC, we're going to get to it. Stephen Amell is full of himself. I do hate on him for it. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Bo needs to go away at this point.
He's still my green.
I think Bo did a great job with X-Men 97. I got to give him credit for that, but I just hate the fact that he rushed to judgment on somebody else that went through something similar to what he went through. I just can't.
Yes.
Okay, we got JHC here. This is the translation I made. Well, as many people know, we have a publicity crisis with the main actor who found out in many problems because his mental health issues, and then we do a movie. There is some stuff you can control, like the one I have a great experience with him, but we found out that these incidents months before the premiere, the human stuff like superhero fatigue years later. I found out stuff's like when a big movie like this is released, there is a big expectation to attract the four quadrants of the audience, and this movie failed to appeal to two quadrants of the audience. Okay, and in a big movie, the studio wants even your grandmother in it. This is in the private conversations. I found out that many people didn't care about the Flash. Many women aren't interested in him as a character, but that's stuff I found out later. Okay, so he's saying based on statistics that he received, they were telling him that females weren't interested in the Flash, and that's what they were using to justify the failure of the movie.
Unfortunately, it sounds like he's been given bad information.
Right. That's what it sounds like to me. They're giving Muschietti bad information. Muschietti's a filmmaker. He's a creative. He's not, he's not sitting there looking at statistics and things like this. This is stuff that they're giving him. But they're making it seem like he said the regular articles are making it sound like he's saying this, that he believes this stuff, not that this is stuff that they're giving him. But no, I get it. I understand now. Yeah,
like I can see where it got twisted.
Yeah,
It's
terrible. It's just so terrible. It makes him come off like an out of touch a-hole. That's what it does. It makes him, it's the females. They didn't go see it. Women screwed this movie. Like, give me a break.
Yeah, he made the mistake to make public some private conversations. He didn't know about this stuff until he was notified. Oh, that's awful.
See, yeah. God, it makes you feel like that propaganda. It makes you feel like you can't trust anything that comes out publicly like this anymore, because it all gets twisted and gets spit through a media machine, and they just skew it however they want to and spin it however they want to fit whatever narrative they're trying to spit out. Oh my God. Andy Muschietti also said his movie was chopped up at one point. Gunn was filming it just like Aquaman 2. Muschietti was fed bad intel. Yeah.
I wonder where that came from.
Yeah. James Gunn. I'll be honest, despite that, I am no longer rooting for Bo to continue. He doesn't deserve it morally. Well, the problem with Bo DeMeo, Batman, is he's just misinformed, like the majority of the people who commented under the article. You have to understand, Batman, that these feelings about about Ezra Miller, these negative feelings about Ezra Miller are very, 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 very widespread. Unfortunately, unless you care about Ezra Miller as an actor, unless you care about Ezra Miller as a person, you're not going to be bothered to go back and actually research and find out the truth. You're going to just go off of what the media is putting out. And that's unfortunately what's happened here, because like Sin Havoc and a couple others pointed out, the media has not gone back and done any kind of retractions with regards to any of the Ezra Miller stuff. So to those people, all that Ezra Miller stuff still stands the way it is. So to me, I kind of feel like it's hard to condemn people for seeing things one way if they're looking at the articles, and this is what the articles are telling us. Look at what happened tonight. Look at what happened with Mama Bear and I. We came out here and we're talking about Andy Muschietti like he's a scumbag, only to find out that it's all a misunderstanding and a miscommunication between the translators. Yeah, he was misquoted. I mean, this is the point I'm trying to make. But a lot of people aren't gonna do that. They're not gonna go back and they're not gonna look and they're not gonna research and they're not gonna say, especially if you don't care about Ezra Miller, if you don't like Ezra Miller, you're not gonna go back and research. If you already think Ezra Miller's creepy and a scumbag and a criminal and all this, if you already think all these things about him, you're not gonna be, compelled to go back and I gotta see if this dude is innocent. I gotta go back and look. No, you're gonna read the articles because it reaffirms what you already believe about somebody. That's why a lot of these people are just waiting for something really, really bad or negative to come out about Zack Snyder, because then they could say, see, I told you there was a reason why we hated Zack Snyder, and they would use that. But it's so funny how it's a double standard with Gunn. You can have all this negative evidence and all this stuff about James Gunn, about all the creepy crap that James Gunn does, but he gets a pass.
Yeah,
right. He gets a pass, and Ezra Miller is the scum of the earth to these people. Doesn't make any sense. I'm glad, I'm glad, JHC, vindicated Andy Muschietti in my eyes. I feel so much better now because now I don't have to hate Andy Muschietti.
Because he is a talented director.
I like him. I feel like he got a bad hand. It wasn't his fault. The Flash, if you had to go back and you had to cut out the majority, all this great stuff that you filmed, of course your movie's going to suffer.
Yeah, he got the Justice League treatment. It was very clear.
So, yeah. Okay, Kingdom of Nerds says, unfortunately, if you speak to a reporter or interviewer, you have to believe everything you say is on the record. Yeah, and not only that, they're going to twist what you say.
Yep.
They're going to twist what you say to fit whatever narrative they want to put out there. So you could go on record and you could say all kinds of positive things, and they could find a way to edit your interview to make it sound like you said negative stuff. Just like here with this mistranslation with Andy Muschietti. How do you leave out all of the things that Andy Muschietti actually said and focus fully on the statistic aspect and say, well, women this, women that? That's not what the man said. That's not what the man was talking about when he made those comments. Unbelievable. I'm not going to believe anything I read anymore, Mama Bear. I'm totally done with articles. I'm totally done with all this crap.
Between media twisting things and other YouTubers twisting things. I mean, at this point, unless you get it directly from the source, I really don't think it's worth taking stock in it anymore.
Yeah, and Bishop here is referencing that story where James Gunn told that story on that Josh Horowitz interview where he said that he was mistaken for Zack Snyder at a convention or something, and it's just like
I saw that. That was really.
Are you Zack Snyder? Yeah. whatever, James Gunn. You wish you were Zack Snyder. That's what it is. You wish you were Zack Snyder.
Because they look so much alike. Sure.
Yes, Socks. Aquaman 2 was chopped up to hell too. Yes, it was. And a lot of stuff was cut out of Blue Beetle too. Ben Affleck's Batman cameo was cut out of Blue Beetle as well.
Blue Beetle and Aquaman 2.
Yep.
He was supposed to be in Aquaman 2 as well.
Yep.
Yeah, you said it, Qatar. Imposter syndrome is real.
Yeah, no, I agree with you about Beau DeMayo, Batman, but again, the problem is that it's an accepted this Ezra Miller stuff is an accepted narrative now. This is why it's going to be very hard for Ezra Miller to come back and recover as an actor, because based on the comments section of that article, the majority of people still believe all that crap about Ezra Miller. And there were a ton of comments about Ezra Miller. There was at least 100 comments, and every single one of them was saying it was Ezra Miller. Ezra Miller's fault. Ezra doing this. Ezra doing that. What did Ezra do to those women? What did Ezra do here? What did Ezra do there? I mean, all the negativity. I'm like, wow, people really cannot be bothered to look things up. They really cannot.
Brucifer's heading out, so rest well, Brucey.
All right, Brucifer, thank you very much for coming, sir. Appreciate it. Have a great night. JHC says, I was reading the articles and the translation are good, but the headlines mean. I think people don't read the full article either.
Mm-hmm.
But also, most of the articles mentions the quadrant stuff, but little about what he said about Ezra Miller and superhero fatigue, which he mentions as the first two causes. Yeah, and he also mentions the fact that James Gunn made changes. He mentions that too, which is not included in any of these articles. The media protects James Gunn like he's a superhero. If people didn't like Beau DeMayo's writing, Beau DeMayo's stuff would have been accepted. You are exactly right, Bad Dan. You are exactly right. If Beau DeMayo was just a crappy, woke writer, he would not have, people would be trashing him too. You're right, 100%. In marketing, a positive or a negative promo is still promotion. Yeah. There is no superhero fatigue.
I don't think it's so much a superhero fatigue as it is bad writing fatigue. Like, when we get stuff where it's like No Way Home, or I'm glad Brucifer left, Deadpool and Wolverine. I know he wasn't a fan of that movie, but stuff that the fans actually want to see, then they come out in droves for it. Like, we've seen it with other, like, I'm trying to come up with other superhero movies off the top of my head, but I'm drawing a blank right now.
Sin Havoc says, Muschietti also said Gunn was filming and casting during the strikes. Of course he was. And he'll never be held accountable to anything he does.
We know he was. We know he was filming and writing and all of that stuff.
He had to have been. He had to have been because he doesn't follow any rule. The rules don't apply to James Gunn.
Yep.
James Gunn's got secret files on everybody in Hollywood. That's why he keeps failing upward.
I believe that so much. I really do. Like, he's got to have some dirt on a whole bunch of people. Maybe island-related dirt. I would not doubt that, because how do you continue to fail, continue to lose money, but yet you continue to get more and more work
And not only that, you're head of the studio now.
How
does that happen?
The studio 100 $100 million, and he's still got the big boy seat. How?
At least Zack Snyder defended Ezra Miller. Heck, he even said he would work with Amber Heard again.
That one I struggle with. I'll be honest.
ZodWriter needs to write for DC or Marvel. To tell you the truth, Bishop, I would not want to write for DC or Marvel because they're too nobody they don't even know what they want to be. I honestly would not want to write for either one of those companies. No big companies. For me, I'm gonna defer to Sin Havoc here. For me, it's only original IPs. Only original IPs for me. I will never work in the sandbox of a big studio. Even if DC came to me tomorrow and said, "Hey, you want to help us fix DC?" I'd be like, "No, thanks." No thanks. But good luck with that. Good luck with that.
Going down. That Bishop. You ain't right for that, but you ain't wrong. Oh my god.
Yeah. We're gonna go ahead and pin this comment because it really does kind of put this into perspective here. But we're gonna go ahead and pin that comment by the Bishop because I think that's he's definitely the Diddy of movies. I would agree 100%. He's got stuff on people. He has special parties, just like Diddy. Special parties. Yeah. And you'll never hear me come out publicly calling James Gunn any kind of names other than a scumbag. But
I'm just gonna say, most people I know at 30 know better than to go to certain parties.
Yeah.
And if somebody goes to, I don't know, say a National Socialist Party, I'm gonna look at you sideways, whether you claim up and down, left, right, and sideways that you are or you aren't. I'm still gonna look at you sideways.
Yeah, look at that hashtag. Gunn is the Diddy of DC. Oh my god. I just see now I'm really glad that we did this stream, Mama Bear, because we got clarification,
yes. And
on that this whole thing.
Well, I have to go. My English isn't that good either, but I tried my best. Even if you didn't like The Flash, Muschietti seems like a pretty nice guy who is just too honest. You know what? Muchas gracias, JHC.
Thank you for being here, JHC. It's much appreciated. Probably you thought nobody would watch the interview from a small Argentinian channel. Yeah. But even so, the interview was fine. It was just mistranslated. I don't take any issues with anything he said, especially if they were giving him those statistics and that was being pointed out. That's not his fault. I mean, whatever, wow. Unbelievable. Well, I definitely feel a lot better now than I did going into it. It actually makes me have a little bit more, faith in Muschietti, and now I hope I'm not hoping for the man's career to fail.
There's very few that I could actually say I would want their career to fail. Like that's a very short list.
But that was pretty damning, though. If it was true for him to come out and literally blame the female audience for his movie failing. I mean, to me, that just cancels you out immediately.
I'm just gonna say shame on whoever did that translation. into that and conveniently left out certain parts like Gunn made notes.
Right.
Shame on you.
That's very telling. That's honesty right there. See, and that shows that he does have balls, because he came out and actually said that it was that Gunn and the studio meddled in this movie.
Yeah. Bad Dan, I am full of cough syrup and all that jazz. I'm going to say whoever. Okay.
Hey guys, any comments on the opening box office of James Gunn's Superman? I don't expect it to do well. I don't expect it to do well. I don't expect it to. I expect it to make less money than Superman Returns, but that's just me.
I have said since they gave Cavill his walking papers, that I feel bad for whoever is going to be putting on the super suit. That because he will be coming in after a very beloved Superman, and now not only one but two, because they ended Superman and Lois early for this, because they can't have more than one Superman because it would confuse people. We literally had two in Crisis on Infinite Earths, but it's just me. It's just me. I'm with you. I can't see it doing any better numbers than Superman Returns.
No, because it's technically the same kind of thing. You're going back to that motif. You got Superman with his trunks, and you got. I don't know. I just maybe I don't know. Maybe crypto will make it make more money. I don't know. Maybe more people will go see it because they like the dog. I don't know.
I like the dog, but not that much, man. I'm gonna watch it either way, but because at the end of the day, I am a DC fan. Most of y'all know how I'm gonna watch it. Just for the record, I'm not gonna. It doesn't need to be said out loud. I just with everything that's gone on controversy-wise, I can't see it, and it feels bloated. It feels overpacked.
Yeah.
And before we close out, I just want to say I called it from the beginning that there was going to be a kaiju. Just saying.
A kaiju.
I said that blast in the thing looked like Godzilla blast. There's a kaiju in the movie.
Yeah. Well, Kenneth wants to know who do you think will own WB if Zaslav sells the company? No telling. It's anybody's guess. I mean, for a while I thought it was going to be Universal, but now I really don't know. Anybody could get it. I guess it's whoever comes in at the last minute. I think they're going to sell to the highest bidder. So I don't know. I don't really have a clear winner in my head at this point, but I always thought it was going to be Universal. That was initial for me, but I don't know now.
Either way, if they wind up selling it, whoever gets it, I really hope that they have better in mind for DC than WB did. Like, hopefully this will be as good of a change as it was when Disney bought Marvel.
I expect it will do well enough to turn a profit, but still be a disappointment. WB will panic and course correct as they always do. This is the problem. I don't think it's not going to do well enough for them to continue doing it. I don't think we're going to get any more James Gunn stuff after this. I think it won't. I think they're going to have a number in mind that they want it to be, and they probably have already told, James Gunn, if it doesn't make this much money, we're not continuing with your DCU. He knows this. This is why in one of the interviews he said it's not like we'll keep making more movies if this flops, because he already knows. He knows it's not going to do well. So this is why he keeps green lighting all this crap, because he knows They're not going to do a second season of Creature Commandos and a third. They're not going to do that because they're not going to get to that point. Superman is going to do poorly, and it's not going to make enough money to justify them continuing an entire universe. What people don't realize is everything is riding on Superman for James Gunn. Everything. Okay. You can't. It's game over if it fails.
I see you in the chat, Bat Down. I do remember when Marvel was at the same point DC is right now, where they were like right on teetering on bankruptcy. And that's when they got bought out by Disney. It really was very close to we would be losing Marvel permanently. So I will stand by. I do think them getting purchased by the mouse was a good thing, because we still have these characters and we have fantastic superhero movies because of it.
Necron puts it right, puts it in great terms. What's up, Necron? He says, I'll watch it on TNT 5 years from now. There you go.
Maybe
not
3.
a penny. Not a penny. Superman and Lois was a perfect Elseworld story. I have no plans on watching Gunn's Superman ever. WBD is being sold into parts. Well,
yep.
There you go. There you go. Pray for those in California. So sad for everyone out there. Yes, absolutely. Prayers to California right now. That is insane what's going on right now.
My heart goes out to the people out there, and I really hope that the people out there that are very special to me are safe.
The fire sale is about to pick up. Get ready for massive lawsuits and litigating assets to begin. Okay. Liquidating assets to begin.
Yeah.
Wow. This is great stuff here. Okay. Well, wow. We've done a great job covering this topic. Thankfully, we were clarified so that we didn't come off like uninformed morons like the people with Ezra Miller. But
yeah, we're not above being corrected.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying I really have no problem. I'm so happy that happened, because that makes me feel so much better about Absolutely. Andy Muschietti. Now he's another director I can have faith in, and I could say, well, hey, maybe the next time he'll get a chance to do something he really wants to do, and he'll get an actual, get an actual successful movie where he won't have to deal with a James Gunn type. Hey guys, it's been a while. Hope you are doing well. Thoughts on Superman? It'll do okay, but not enough to carry a cinematic universe. WBD and DC will be sold for parts. Yes, I agree. I think that's exactly what's going to happen. And let's see, we gotta find something here. Gotta find an appropriate way to wrap this up here, guys. So put your final questions or comments in the chat. We're about to wrap up the show. It's kind of cool. Didn't want to go super long or lengthy tonight, and I appreciate Mads Mama Bear you being here to offset this from a female perspective, since your gender was being blamed for the failure of the movie, or allegedly based on misinformation. So we
falsely being blamed. I mean, my goodness. They want to throw everybody under the bus at this point.
Yeah, I just don't see how it's legitimate on any way, on any level to call somebody, put somebody in that misquote somebody like that. I just don't get how that's fair. That is just not fair to Andy Muschietti, and it's not fair to anybody, and it's sad. It really is. because he didn't deserve
Come
that
with
to be
facts.
taken out of context like that. Like he's a freaking chauvinist. He's blaming women for the failure of his movie. Come on, that's terrible. But
It didn't seem like him.
But yeah, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up now. And again, I want to thank everybody for being here. Thank you again, Mads Mama Bear. And
Thank you.
we're gonna end with something special tonight, since we do have Ruby Sanderson from One Punch Stand here on the channel. We're gonna end with this tonight. Good night, everybody.
Where have all the good men gone? And where are all the gods? Where's the streetwise Hercules to fight the rising odds? Isn't it a white knight upon a fiery steed? Late at night, I toss and I turn and I dream of what I need. I need a hero. I'm holding out for a hero till the end of the night. He's gotta be strong and he's gotta be fast and he's gotta be fresh from the fight. I need a hero. I'm holding out for a hero till the morning light. He's gotta be sure and he's gotta be soon and he's gotta be larger than life, larger than life. Somewhere after midnight, in my wildest fantasy, somewhere just beyond my reach, there is someone reaching back for me. Oh, racing on the thunder and rising with the heat. It's gonna take a quarter of an speed to sweep me off my feet. Yeah, I need a hero. I'm holding out for a hero till the end of the night. He's gotta be strong and he's gotta be fast and he's gotta be fresh from the fight. I need a hero. I'm holding out for a hero till the morning light. He's gotta be sure and he's gotta be soon and he's gotta be larger than life. I need a hero. I'm holding out for a hero till the end of the night. Up where the mountains meet the heavens above, out where the lightning splits the sea, I could swear there is someone somewhere watching me. Through the wind and the chill and the rain and the storm and the flood, I can feel his approach like a fire in my blood, like a fire in my blood, like a fire in my blood, like a fire in my blood. I need a hero. I'm holding out for a hero till the end of the night. He's gotta be strong and he's gotta be fast and he's gotta be fresh from the fight. I need a hero. I'm holding out for a hero till the morning light. He's gotta be sure and he's gotta be soon and he's gotta be larger than life. I need a hero. I'm holding out for a hero till the end of the night. He's gotta be strong and he's gotta be fast and he's gotta be fresh from the fight. I need a hero. I'm holding out for a hero